That music definitely changed, right? Like that was completely different from the last time
That
we
was
did
very
this.
different from the last
Okay.
time. I
I
was
just
like,
want to
oh,
make sure I just wanted to make sure I wasn't a little crazy. I mean, I was a little bit more zened out there. But welcome to another episode of the Award Central podcast. I am your host, Ricky Valero. On today's episode, we are going to be breaking down our just quick thoughts of the 31st Screen Actor Guild Awards, which are handed out this past weekend. But of course, the most important conversation we're going to have today is we are going to give our final Oscar predictions for all categories for the 97th Academy Awards, which are airing this Sunday, March the 2nd. As always, I am joined by my podcast partner here, Benji. How are you, man?
very good, thank you. And I'm very excited to be having what will probably be the most important conversation we have all year line. Our reputations, our dignity on the line this lovely afternoon, morning for you. So yeah, I'm excited to, now that everything's kind of accumulated together, I'm excited to see where we both finally land for the last time this year.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting because this season is a culmination of so many different things. And one thing that I think sometimes it does get lost sight in the mix is we're having fun here. You know what I mean? Not everybody's perfect. Not everybody's going to get every Oscar prediction right, and it's fine. Like, you know what I mean? It's not. It's about the fun that you have along the way. This season's supposed to be fun. This season, back when I was younger, you know what I mean? It was one of those things that you followed inside the damn newspaper and circled names, and you hope that that's your favorite person was going to win. You know what I mean? And for many of years, my favorite films never win anything. But and I tell every year whenever something wins, I'm never going to watch the Oscars again, and then just in time I'll watch them again because I love pain. Still not over the fact that Mark Rylance won over Sylvester Stallone, but there's so many other ones that I could talk about today. But I will say this. I promised an announcement that we would announce on our final prediction podcast. But before we jump in, what we're going to do post Oscars is going to be a lot of fun. We are going to do a bracket tiered thing, especially in the theme of March Madness coming around the corner, also in the theme of trying to keep the fun going here at Award Central post Oscar season. We're going to do a bracket tier type thing for each of the major 6 categories. What we're going to do is we're going to take the last 20 winners, 24 winners, break them down into a bracket, have them face one another, and then we're going to do a whole entire voting. We're going to have guests on each and every week with us to break down who is the ultimate, let's just say, supporting actress winner over the last 24 years. We're going to have it a seeded system based off of year. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to vote each round as we figure out who our favorite is. And then we'll argue amongst each other. You know what I mean? Debate amongst each other of who we want to
Friendships
win.
may be lost.
Exact friendship might be lost. And then we're going to bring a third person in each and every week. We're going to have a different guest each week just so that we have a tie-breaking vote with us or somebody that we can persuade to be on our side. Either way, you know what I mean? But I think it's going to be a lot of fun. We'll make those brackets actively live so that you guys can follow along with us at home as well. So it's going to be a lot of fun post-Oscar season that Benji and I kind of conjured up together, and we're ready to kind of lock down and have some fun with that. But yeah,
It'll be very exciting.
Yeah. Without further ado, we're going to quickly talk about the winners from the Screen Actor Guild Awards. Obviously, I think there's like a whopping 5 awards given out, so 6 awards. So outstanding performance by a stunt ensemble and motion picture, Fall Guy won. And then, of course, both in supporting, the sweep continues for Kieran Culkin and Zoe Saldana. And then, of course, in lead actress, not really much of a surprise per se, Demi Moore winning. But the big surprise of the night really was outstanding performer by a male actor in a leading role, Timothée Chalamet for Complete Unknown. I mean, even he was shocked by that.
Which we did have predicted, I will say now. So we deserve ourselves on the back.
We did as well. And even though there's one person that claims they're the only person on the planet that predicted it. But that being said, first off, I loved his speech. I just want to mention his speech real quick. If you didn't like his speech, you've never really tried to be great at anything in life. And
you've never been ambitious.
Exactly. You know what I mean? Like, you just haven't, because at the end of the day, you always want to be the best at what you're doing in life. You know what I mean? And if you're not, then that's just you. That's your decision. That's perfectly fine. And then, of course, the night was capped off with a big, outstanding performance by a cast in a motion picture, a win by Conclave, which, quote unquote, really shuts out Anora for the night. But What were your thoughts on SAG, and how do you think, before we dive into the awards, did it change your mind frame on who you were predicting in any of the categories?
I want to start by saying, first and foremost, completely on the side, that the ceremony itself was actually really good and it was really well timed. Everything went at a really nice pace. It was very strange to hear people say swear words in their acceptance speech, but then that's Netflix for you, can do what they want. I thought that the clips are really good. I just really liked everything about the show. I just wanted to kind of mention that now because I think a lot of the time these days, award shows are trying too hard now to kind of blend their old school ways of doing things with this new era. And I feel like SAG is probably the first time in a long time I've seen an award show specifically itself be done really well. So that's just something else I want to mention. Going into the winners, I was a fucking idiot and predicted Wicked for stunts because my thinking was it's nominated in 5 categories. I didn't think it was going to win ensemble or supporting actress. So I thought, oh yeah, well, surely it's got to win somewhere. No, never mind. I should have picked the other. I was literally going through everyone else's predictions. It was like Fall Guy, Fall Guy, Fall Guy. And I was like, well, ain't either fool. The supporting actor and actress are just, at this point, super locked for the Oscars. Anybody who tried to doubt Zoe Saldana, you just need to accept the fact. If you don't like Emilia Perez, that's fine. But she is the most likely thing that's going to win in that movie. And at this point, really, there's nothing standing in her way. Leading actor, I did have Timothée Chalamet predicted, purely because SAG didn't like The Brutalist. They nominated Adrian Brody. That was it. They snubbed Guy Pearce. They snubbed Felicity Jones. They didn't nominate an ensemble. Whilst A Complete Unknown, they loved that movie. And with Timothée Chalamet being the number 2, it just kind of seemed to make sense. Ensemble, again, I'm pissed off at myself because I had Conclave predicted when nobody else did. And then I gave into the peer pressure last minute and I changed to Anora. I said a couple of weeks ago in one of these episodes that if there's one way in which I still think another movie can win Best Picture, and I said I had a specific thing in mind about how it would go, and it's happened, and that was if Conclave wins SAG. Now I want to kind of go back on myself because it happened when I didn't think it would, and now that it has happened, I'm now unsure of myself again. You can take this however you want. The last 3 years, the Best Picture winners have also won SAG. So either SAG, you can maybe say that they've become a new great way to predict Best Picture. They did predict the Parasite Best Picture upset. You could also say that maybe it's now their time to kind of go back to breaking that chain of this happening, and that Anora will probably still win Best Picture. Conclave can have a really good package going into the Oscars with film editing, adapted screenplay, and if Best Picture was tied to that, it wouldn't sound crazy. Not to kind of jump ahead for the rest of the episode, I'm not quite predicting that's going to happen, but it's made this already crazy award season just that little bit more exciting because we're now even going into Best Picture not 100% certain.
You're not 100% certain, but I'm 100% certain that Madam Web's winning Best Picture. That's all I have to say about that.
Oh, yeah, of course.
It should win, and should anybody that questions that doesn't understand cinema at its finest. But without further ado, we're going to go ahead and swap on over to our Oscar predictions. We're going to predict in every category. Yes, that even means in the nice old short films and everything, ladies and gentlemen. We're not going to take 4 hours of your time to do a podcast tonight, though, folks. We're going to keep this short, sweet, to the point. Little quick listen for you guys at home, but also we're going to hold ourselves accountable to what we're predicting to win the 97th Academy Awards. And we're going to start off with Best Visual Effects. We have Alien, Romulus, Better Man, Dune Part 2, Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, and Wicked. I'll kick us off here. I am going to predict Dune Part 2.
Yeah, I'm going to predict Dune Part 2. I've seen some people say, well, Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes won VAS, so surely it's got to happen at some point. It's like, no, VAS has predicted Planet of the Apes 4 times in a row now, those movies coming out, and 4 times in a row, the Oscars haven't gone with it. And with a movie like Dune Part 2 just so ridiculously in the lead, there's no way I'm going to predict against that.
All right, Best Film Editing. Let's get spicy early. I'm just going based off of how Wikipedia has these on the screen. So it's definitely interesting how you go from Best Visual Effects to Best Film Editing, but we'll take it. We have Anora, The Brutalist, Conclave, Emilia Perez, and Wicked. I'll let you kick it off here, Benji.
So the only one of these that has a precursor is Conclave with BAFTA. And I'll make it clear now, I am predicting Conclave, but I think that there's 2 movies that can cause for an upset. If Anora, on its very, 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 very best night does really well, then I think Anora could easily take this. But then also Wicked, they do like to award this category to Wicked, and with Wicked kind of being the big movie of the year and the kind of the musical, I can sort of envision it happening in a crazy alternate universe. I'm not quite there yet because Wicked as a whole hasn't actually done that well with wins during this whole award season. So it's a nice thing to think about, but I'm going with Conclave.
For me, best editing. Sorry, I'm looking at my screen here. Best film editing. I'm gonna go Anora to win this category. I think this is gonna be a tall tale for my predictions. I think for this episode, but give me Sean Baker to win his first Oscar here of the night on best film editing. I don't know the order. Could be completely wrong. Could win like 70 other Oscars before this one's handed out, but I'm pretty sure it'll probably be earlier in the show. But best costume design, A Complete Unknown, Conclave, Gladiator 2, Nosferatu, and Wicked. I think this is going to be Wicked's first of several wins of the night. What about you, Benji?
Yeah, completely on the same page. When BAFTA and Critics' Choice and Costume Designers Guild match up, they close to never then go with something else. The last time that this happened was when Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them won over Jackie and La La Land. That was nearly 10 years ago. We live in a very different time, and I'll go as far to say there's no way Wicked doesn't win.
Yeah, this is definitely one of the few that I expect to see basically continue to sweep the season. I mean, it's won a lot of the major categories here. All right, moving on to best makeup and hairstyle. A Different Man, Emilia Perez, Nosferatu, The Substance, and Wicked. To me, this is definitely where this movie is going to win its lone Oscar of the night, and I'm going to give this to The Substance.
Without getting too ahead of ourselves, I agree with exactly everything that you said there. I'm also giving The Substance makeup and hairstyling as it's, I hate to say it, it's my favorite movie last year, but as its lone win of the night, probably.
All right, so moving on to best cinematography, we have The Brutalist, Dune Part 2, Emilia Perez, Maria, and Nosferatu. We had a little switch, a little wrench in the plan this past weekend. I'll let Benji kind of break that down and along with his prediction.
So, just when everybody thought that it was between The Brutalist and Nosferatu, Maria then won the ASC. Now, the ASC was after Oscar voting, I must confess. And in the grand scheme of things, it's unlikely to happen. But I want to give you all something just to think about. I'm just going to quickly get his name up because I've completely forgotten it. So,
who's?
So Edward Lochman, the cinematographer from Maria, he's currently nominated.
By the way.
Oh yeah, why the hell? Right, well, look, that was a really dumb thing that I did. Maybe you just shouldn't trust me.
And folks, I'm just letting everybody know at home, it is not 8 a.m. Central Time in where Benji's at. By the way, so he's clicking on all cylinders in the afternoon over there. Just letting y'all know.
Yeah, so I'm in like my prime, and this is still how dumb I am. I'm so sorry. Anyway, Edward Lochman. So he's been nominated 4 times in a row. If the Oscars have this in the mind and they really want to go for it, they could go for this. Probably not going to happen at last, but it's just something pretty cool. Whenever Maria does win, I'm winning a lot of money. I put a £5 bet down. I could win £235 in return. So if you want to have one category that's a long shot, but could still kind of happen with good returns, I'd say put money down in it. You never know. £5 for a potential £235 isn't too bad for somebody like me. So, you know. But alas, no. It really does come down to Nosferatu and The Brutalist. A part of me would really like to go for Nosferatu, and I'm really, really looking out for it come night of the Oscars. It's definitely got the most showy editing, cinematography. And with Mank winning over Nomadland a few years ago, they've shown that they do kind of like to do that. But because I think overall The Brutalist is going to have a much stronger night, I am going to go with Lowell Crawley for The Brutalist.
I just love his name. It's like LOL. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like his name's LOL. I love
LOL. That. That's such a good name. I might change my name to that now.
Exactly. Look, I made it bigger for you on the screen. Actually, I'm going to follow suit here. I thought you were going to go Nosferatu here, but I'm with you on The Brutalist. I don't know how big of a night it will be. I definitely see it probably in the second most. Just thinking in my head as we go through, maybe the second most awarded film of the night. But I'm also going to go The Brutalist here as well. All right, best production design. This is funny. So before I talk about this category, a long time ago, I was like, man, this category should be one specific film. Period. End of story. And then you start watching like a behind the scenes thing of a movie, and then you start watching it, and you're like, holy cow, like that is absolutely insane. And to follow that up with, our nominees are The Brutalist, Conclave, Dune Part 2, Nosferatu, Wicked. I really feel like this is such a strong list of nominees, right? You know what I mean?
It's an amazing list of nominees.
It's some incredible work.
They could all win, and none of them would be undeserved.
Exactly. And to me, that I agree with that 1,000%. But for me, best production design is going to be another win for Wicked.
Yeah, I would personally go with Doom Part 2, or maybe even Nosferatu, or maybe even Brutalist, maybe Conclave, maybe Wicked. But yeah, no, it's definitely going to be Wicked. I mean, that just goes to show. I think they're all really good, and each time I think of one, I look at the other one, and then I think about the behind the scenes process, and I think I'd really like that to win. I'd really like that to win. But yeah, it's weird. Production design being one of the better categories of the night. It's not something you often hear, but I really think that's the case here. But if I'm looking purely at precursors, it's going to be Wicked.
Yeah. Moving on to best sound, we have A Complete Unknown, Dune Part 2, Emilia Perez, Wicked, and The Wild Robots. There's to me, let's just say to me, I'll say that out loud, but to me, there's like one film that obviously stands out more than the rest, and that's Dune Part 2. Great nomination, should win. I'm going upset here with A Complete Unknown.
I don't want to speak for you, and I don't know what you're going to be predicting later on in the episode, but to people who are predicting Timothée Chalamet to upset and win the Oscar, I do feel like you need to have A Complete Unknown winning sound to kind of show its overall strength, because it doesn't have a nomination in editing. Which does it have a no, it doesn't, does it? I just fact check myself. I don't want to be wrong.
No, it's not.
No, it doesn't. I was right. Sound and editing go hand in hand so well, to the point where I just can't really go against it, even though I'm really embarrassing myself today. Does Doom Part 2 have a sound editing nomination? The film editing nomination?
No,
it doesn't. Oh, okay. That's almost kind of changed my mind, just kind of like knowing it. Because the argument I was going to make was sound and editing go hand in hand really well. But I really don't think Emilia Perez is going to win. So what I was going to say, where my head was that there is a possibility for Wicked to maybe have an upset. However, I'm going to go with the film I would have thought Ricky would have gone with, and I'm going to go Doom Part 2. But if you think Timothée Chalamet is winning Best Actor, I'd really recommend that you predict A Complete Unknown here. But that's not where my head is at, so I'm not doing that.
All right. Best Music, Original Song, El Mel from Emilia Perez, The Journey, The 688, Like a Bird from Sing Sing, Mia Camino from Emilia Perez, and Never Too Late from Elton John, Never Too Late. This is an interesting one for me. I went back and forth because to me, it's basically El Mel all the way. However, is this where things get to start for the downfall, quote unquote, of Emilia Perez's night, right? A month and a half ago, prior to the Carla Sofia Gascon controversy, this was a luck, throw away the key, don't even blink twice about it. Al Mal was winning the Oscar, period. And it's crazy because this was probably going to be, Adard's one of two wins, obviously, because he's connected to this song, obviously, because of the lyrics. He's not connected to the Mia Camino because of that. But I almost feel like, is this finally where Diane Warren wins her Oscar? Is it? Question mark. I'm still going to predict Al Mel from Emilia Perez, though.
So the controversy with Emilia Perez, even though I think Zoe Saldana's safe, I do think it's vulnerable in both its other categories where it's predicted to win, but it's nowhere near as certain as comes to Ricky's point. I am still going with Al Mal. However, when you kind of read through the anonymous ballots, which I'm a big defender in saying they don't mean a lot, however, one thing you can tell is that the Academy are very, very much aware of Diane Warren. It's not just a film Twitter thing. They know how many times she's been nominated. They know how much she wants to win. If there was a time where she can maybe take advantage of potentially winning, it would be now. And I'd say she's definitely number 2. But there isn't quite enough evidence. And I don't think the controversy has been strong enough or reached to the point where I'm going to predict for it to fail an original song, even though I think it's more vulnerable in another category. So yeah, I'm still predicting Al Mal, but I won't be shocked if The Journey wins an Oscar.
Yeah, and to be honest with you guys, I mean, no matter how anybody feels, like first off, the 6 Triple 8 is actually a really good movie, and also it's a really good song. So like, it would be quite deserving here because I do think the song is fantastic. But
and it's worth saying right now before we move on, the SAG used it as their in memoriam song. So that song clearly is making its way around the industry, and it's clearly being campaigned in some sort of way. If SAG's first thought to put that
it's being campaigned everywhere. It's Diane Warren. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Yeah, it doesn't.
But I really think now more than ever that it's being campaigned because this is a Netflix movie. The last time Diane Warren had a Netflix movie nominated an original song was Yo See from 2021. That came very close to winning an Oscar. So we could be in a very similar situation this year.
An easy pick here. Best music original score. You have The Brutalist, Conclave, Emilia Perez, Wicked, The Wild Robot. It's crazy to me not to see Dune Part 2 here. Robbed. Academy robbed them. They should have not only been nominated, but should be winning at this category.
Well, it should be eligible. Full stop. That was the whole problem. If it was eligible, I think The Wild Robot would be out and Dune Part 2 would be in
for sure. The Brutalist is going to win this.
I agree with you on The Brutalist, but again, we have the same problem we had with film editing, where challengers took these sets of awards at its respective ceremonies, which makes it a little bit more difficult and kind of keeps us on our toes a little bit more. Because if Conclave has a really good night, then it could win here. Now, this would only be the second ceremony where Conclave could win. Volker Bergman only won a few years ago for All Quiet when a lot of people were still predicting Babylon. So to say it's going to happen twice in a row seems a bit ambitious. So I'm not actually going to say that's going to happen. But it's something to keep an eye out for. But yeah, I keep playing devil's advocate, but then keep going back to what I want to predict in the first place. So yeah, The Brutalist.
All right. Best animated short film. I know nothing about these categories outside of I've watched a few of them. So I'm going to pick mine. This is what I do with the short films. I watch every single one of them every year, but then I just go off vibes. I don't want to hear any precursor shit, nothing like that. I'm just going to go off of what my favorite name is of these categories, and that's what I'm predicting. Benji will give more probably fun analysis that I don't want to. Beautiful Man, In the Shadow of the Cypress, Magic Candies, Wander to Wonder, and then Yuck. I mean, I just want to hear. And the best animated short film goes to Yuck.
I hope they get like a really animated out there person to present that. Because could you imagine if it was like Robert De Niro, like Yuck.
Yuck. And he'll be like, just like our president, Yuck.
They should get him to present it, maybe.
Oh God,
I don't want. That's a joke. I don't want to see him ruining my
Yuck.
Oscars.
That's yuck. That's a yuck statement. We're not being political here, though. All right, we could be yuck. I'm predicting Magic Candies just because I like the name.
So, I have actually done a lot of research going into these shorts, especially animated shorts. So I've come prepared. So, almost every single year that the animated short film tends to be the most kind of kiddie one or the most emotional one. Wonder to Wonder, which a lot of people have predicted, is an animated short that's made for adults. It's quite dark. It's quite violent. They close to never go with that. Yuck, on the other hand, is a story about kids who think kissing is gross. It's all they can think about. It has a message for kids that's very easy to digest. It's very short. It's very cute. It's very easy to watch. It's very colorful. And that's just what they go with. With this animated short, the other thing to remember is the voters don't go into these categories thinking very politically. It's hard enough to get them to watch them all, and it's hard enough to get them to vote. And when they do vote, if I'm being honest, I don't think a lot of thought goes into this. And I do sort of agree with Ricky's judgment that the one that has the most kind of enticing title also seems to win. Like I remember a few years ago when learning to skateboard in a war zone, if you're a girl won, and I'm almost certain that's just because they like the sound of the title. So with all of that kind of going into it, I know it's not the number one pick, and I know I'm kind of throwing myself into the ringer a little bit with this prediction, but I'm going to go with Yuck.
I like it. I like it just because it says Yuck. You know what I mean? Yuck. Best live action. I'm mad because I really wanted to go Yuck, and I didn't think Yuck wasn't going to be a really strong option here. But now I'm mad because I really wanted to say Yuck, but I didn't go Yuck. But I went Magic Candies, and now I'm mad. So you see that? Everybody at home, that's a problem. Best live action. We got live action short film, Aileen Ingenue. I'm Not a Robot. Is that the sequel to The Wild Robot? The Last Ranger and the Man Who Could Not Remain Silent. That's a story of all men across the world. Let's see here. I am gonna go. Is it Anju? How do you say that, Benji?
Anuja.
I'm going Anuja.
This is interesting actually, because last time I went with Anuja and you went with something else, and now we've kind of flipped again because you've gone with Anuja. And I'm actually going to go with Alien. This is the one that I've done the least amount of research in, I'll be honest. But it's kind of a similar thing to what I'm going to say for documentary short, where it's political, but a story that's easy to digest. It's not too dark, even though they did go with Skin 6 years ago, which was such a bad movie, but nonetheless, it's still one, which was pretty dark. So it needs a little bit of tension. But with this category, because I just don't think so much thought goes into it, you can predict any of them and potentially be right. The Man Who Could Not Remain Silent does seem to be the consensus number one pick. And again, I do think that's just because of its title. But I'm going to stir up a little bit. I'm going to go with Alien.
Alien. All right, best documentary short film, Death by Numbers, I Am Ready, Warden, Instruments of a Beating Heart, The Only Girl in the Orchestra. Actually, I've watched all of these. And I have a lean here, but I'm between two films based on my feelings of them and what I think. But I think my final prediction is going to be I Am Ready, Warden.
So I have a problem with I Am Ready, Warden winning because one, whenever I watched it once, and I watched it a few months ago at the film festival, and I found it quite emotionally manipulative, personally. Not only that though, but with kind of how kind of dark and dreary it is, it doesn't seem like the documentary short that would tend to win. So I'm gonna go with the movie that a lot like an animated short has a message, easy to digest, easygoing, cute. The only girl in the orchestra.
All right, moving on to that's the other one that's the other one I was juggling. The other one, that's the two that I was juggling, is The Only Girl in the Orchestra.
They're actually, I'm Ready, Warden is my number two. So yeah, we're both on a very similar page there. Yeah. But I'm gonna go against you on that one. I'm gonna go Only Girl in the Orchestra.
All right, best documentary film or feature film. This is one where I'm betting with a not necessarily the overall favorite per se or anything like that, but the film that I think a lot of people want to win, right? You know what I mean? There's one specific film in this category that a lot of people want to win, and because of that, I'm going to go No Other Land.
So this is a really, really fun category because none of these have any sort of precursor to them. Superman seems to have taken the lead everywhere. And if it was nominated,
it's like Michael J. Fox. It's like Michael J. Fox last year, though.
This happens every goddamn fucking year, and it drives me insane. The movie that's the most liked, that's most commercial, for some reason, just doesn't get in at the Oscars. And the documentary branch at the Oscars is the one branch that I think is a little bit more highbrow, a little bit more, for lack of a better word, maybe a little bit more. I don't want to say snobby. Actually, that's not very fair, but I think they take a lot of pride in the films that they nominate, and they like to have a movie that's got quite a strong message. Summer of Soul might be a little bit of an exception to that, because Summer of Soul does have quite like a fun and fast-paced feel to it, but it still does have a story and a message to go with it. if I could choose, I would, without a shadow of a doubt, be predicting Black Box Diaries. I absolutely love that documentary. And then right behind that for me be soundtrack to Cooper Dean. All of these nominees of which could win because there's no sort of precursor. But to your point, the one that's got the strongest
Vegas
message.
says you are crazy for that statement, but
well, I mean, if you wanted to
Black Box
be crazy,
Diaries
you
is
could.
plus 2,400. I like crazy, so I mean, let's go crazy. Go ahead.
I mean,
You're
if you
good.
want to
I
bet
was
money
just
on it, then just put $1 on it, you could get a good return.
exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like that's what I'm saying. Like if and I wasn't discrediting what you're saying. I'm saying that Vegas has got it at plus $2,400 or plus 2,400, which is a crazy number for. And there's I don't think anything in this category should really be that high of a or non-favorite or favorite because of there hasn't been an exactly precursor situation. No Other Land is technically the favorite right now, minus 160, and then Porcelain War and then Sugarcane follow, but it really shows as a 2-film race when all actuality it could be any of the 5.
And that's what I mean. If you're somebody who likes to try and make monies from these, like I do, I like to kind of try and make a profit out of these. Just put $1 on each one of these nominees, and you've got a good chance of at least making your money back because it's very up in the air. But the one that's the most political, that's got the most what's the word? The most kind of contextual to its time, the most meaningful message about war and the state that the world's at right now. I am going to go with No Other Land, but I think Porcelain War or Sugarcane or even Black Box Diaries, for both reasons, could win just because of that strong political message it has to them. Which is kind of crazy because I think soundtrack to Cooper Dean is subjectively the best. But there you go.
Yeah. I mean, if you've been listening to this, if you've been listening to the Award Central podcast here and listening to some of the things I've been saying on this podcast and some of the things we've been saying on this podcast, you could have made money months ago when if you thought Demi Moore was going to win, she was plus 1,800 to even be in the conversation to win Best Actress. If you believe she's still going to win and you believe Mikey Madison still is going to win, if you bet that back in December, there was money to be had there. But moving on to Best International Feature, again, a category that felt like a shut closed door a month and a half ago is now an open race with now Emilia Perez no longer the favorite, but the 5 films nominated here: Seed of the Sacred Fig, I'm Still Here, The Girl with the Needle, Flow, and Emilia Perez. I think there's an argument here. I understand. This is not where I'm going. I think there's an argument here, possibly for Flow. And just based on if it wins animated feature, I think it would be a double win. But to me, this is I'm Still Here. I feel like this is where the controversy really sets into sail because I just think I'm Still Here is going to win. Emilia Perez is, I think, in my opinion, not to go too far crazy ahead, but it could be like only a 2-win night when it could have been possibly a 3 or 4-win night for the film.
I agree. I think I'm Still Here for 2 reasons. One, I think the controversy definitely hasn't worked in his favor.
And Benji's comments. Benji's comments is the other reason why he's picking I'm Still Here.
But
his replies on Twitter. He wants the people on Twitter to reply to him and be nice to him. That's what he wants, folks.
No.
I'm kidding.
Right. It is something. The one time I put a post up about I'm Still Here and it got a lot of traction, somebody accused me of something that wasn't true and it ended up in the bloody UK newspaper. So that's
why I said something. I love that. That's the thing about it is I want to say this though real quick before you finish. That's one thing I do love about the Oscars, though. People are very passionate about their people. As long as they're not like there has been some that are aggressively mean. There's people that are aggressively like review bombing Emilia Perez,
I think we've
bombing.
Both been victims to that at this point, Ricky. Yeah. It's crazy, and I've never seen a year quite like this one before.
Exactly, and I think a lot of it just stems from the negative conversations about that. You know what I mean? So yeah, I would. Yeah.
There's a lot of stands as well this year because you got to think there's Ariana Grande stands, there's Emilia Perez stands, there's Fernando Torres stands, or the Brazilian fan base has been doing free campaigning for that movie. You've then got Demi Moore stands, you've got Cynthia Erivo stands. It's just a lot of even Sebastian Stan stands and Coleman Domingo and every single one of these nominees has like a particular fan crowd surrounded by them. And we all know when Twitter and fan crowds clash, it's not good. And this year we've really seen that in the nominees. Anyway, so with I'm Still Here, the controversy hasn't helped it, but I'm Still Here as well. It kind of boomed at the right time in the Oscars. It just got a Best Picture nominee, but if it had been campaigning earlier in the year and maybe had a different campaigning tactic or kind of boosted in popularity maybe a week earlier, there's a good chance that it could probably have nominations in adapted screenplay and directing as well. Maybe even something like film editing on its very, very best day. I just feel like I'm Still Here wasn't watched soon enough. And now that voters, oh my God, they have been campaigning that movie to the Oscars right down to the very last day of voting. They were doing screenings of I'm Still Here to the Academy. They really want to see that movie win. They're being ambitious. So I do think that it's got a really good chance and maybe could win 3 out of 3 come Sunday night. So yeah, I'm going with you. I'm going with I'm Still Here.
All right, best writing adapted screenplay: A Complete Unknown, Conclave, Amelia Perez, Nickel Boys, and Sing Sing. This is Conclave all the way.
Yeah, this is the category we've got the least amount of. Yeah, I've got nothing to say here. It's Conclave. It's so easy.
Yeah, I mean, and looking at I meant to like follow through because like they have the Vegas odds updated for every category now. But Conclave is minus 900 to win. So basically, if you bet $1, you win 9 cents. That's how strongly they believe.
I mean,
Conclave.
if you were to bet all of your salary for this past year on the Conclave, you'd make 1% of your salary, so you can pay for a holiday with that.
Yeah, I mean, let's see here. I'm pulling up my betting odds calculator. I love doing this whenever I'm on the whenever I'm doing my podcast here. But if you bet 50, similar. Let's see here, bet $50,000, you'll win $5,555.56. So I mean, don't go crazy like that. We're not. Please do not do that. Everybody,
we're not encouraging gambling because imagine if Conclave lost.
Just lost.
Well, never mind. Kids, looks like we're homeless. I do not want that responsibility on my shoulders. So no, definitely don't do that.
Somebody will be commenting on the podcast. We bet our life savings on this, and you know,
Nickel Boys
Sing one. You know what I mean? Like, you know,
somebody ran out on the stage and went, "Guys, there's been a mistake. Madame Web, you won."
Exactly. All right, so we have best original screenplay. This is another category that seems to be wrapped up here, but a best writing original screenplay: Anora, Sean Baker, The Brutalist, Brady Corbet, and Mana Fassvold. A Real Pain, Jesse Eisenberg, September 5, and The Substance. I have Sean Baker for Anora here.
I have Sean Baker for Anora, but A Real Pain did win BAFTA. Now, I can see a world, even though it's not what I'm predicting, for the record, I can't see a world where if Anora isn't to win Best Picture, it could maybe do 1917 and just lose a load of categories that was predicted to win. Maybe one of those, and I think the one that it could be potentially most vulnerable in next to Best Actress and even directing could be Screenplay. Now, maybe there's even a world where A Real Pain still wins Screenplay and Anora wins Actress, Directing, and Screenplay, or it just wins Directing and Picture. Who knows? It probably won't happen because it doesn't have a Best Picture nomination, and that's really important. But something to think about. The Substance is also here. Now, if they analyze the movies by the screenplay within themselves, it has a very strong case to make because the screenplay for The Substance specifically is so creative and not like any other screenplay that you've read. I don't really think the Academy are quite going to go there because the general consensus I've seen from the anonymous ballots is that a lot of Academy voters really appreciate Demi Moore's performance and they appreciate the movie, but they actually don't really like The Substance within itself. So yeah, I think really this number 2 is A Real Pain, but even that's a long shot because yeah, I've said all that, but I still really think Anora's winning this.
All right, Best Actress in a Supporting Role. If you listened to me 3 months ago and bet this like I asked you to, Benji and I were pretty. I mean, I was heavily saying case was closed, and yes, I tweeted it out. I said case was closed on both of these supporting categories. Benji was predicting it still, but he said the casers weren't closed, and then these two went on to sweep the category. There was money to be made on these two back in December. Definitely not now. Because your heavily favorite Zoe Saldana is nominated, Amelia Perez, Isabella Rossellini for Conclave, Felicity Jones for The Brutalist, Ariana Grande for Wicked, Monica Barbero for A Complete Unknown. Zoe Saldana is minus 1,100, which is even stronger favorite to win this category, which is Zoe Saldana is going to win her first Oscar, and I couldn't be more happier for her.
Yeah, almost certainly Zoe Saldana at this point. And even like the few people that will still try and use the Emilia Perez controversy and say, oh, but if Conclave wins, maybe Isabella Rossellini has like a crazy upset. Like, well, no, because even the people that hate Emilia Perez of every bone in their body, they all say, but Zoe Saldana did give a great performance, and a lot of people are coming to her defense and telling people to leave her alone. So I really, 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 really do think it's Zoe Saldana's.
All right. Moving on to supporting actor. Same thing with this category. This one's even funner when it comes to predictions and the gap between everybody here. But best actor in a supporting role. Yuri Borisov for Honora, Kieran Culkin for Edward Norton.
Kieran Culkin for Edward Norton.
Kieran Culkin, A Real Pain.
Edward Norton. Real Pain for A Complete Unknown.
Edward Norton for A Complete Unknown. Guy Pearce for The Brutalist. Jeremy Strong for The Apprentice. I want to say one thing. If you have not gone down the rabbit hole of interviews of Kieran Culkin and Jesse Eisenberg's press tour for Real Pain, please do it. It's some of the funniest interviews. It's incredible. There's no wonder why that he's winning and sweeping everywhere, because this conversation, these interviews are fun. The banter between the two is hilarious. Like, that goes a long way. Like, the personability when you're doing Q&As, how well do they come off? Do they care that they're there? We saw with Eisenberg's incredible speech at BAFTA. At the Spirit Awards, about the Independent Spirit Awards to Emma Stone, which was just absolutely beautiful. But yeah, I mean, obviously this is Kieran Culkin. Fun fact about Kieran Culkin, he's actually minus 1,800. So that's double what.
And how much money could you make if you bet $1 on that?
Bet $1. If we bet a singular dollar, we're winning 6 cents, baby. Let's go.
Wow.
Rich.
Yeah.
Just bet it. Just so you can literally bet it, just so that it pops up in your pay slip. You know what I mean? I want to bet, baby. Let's go.
Yeah, exactly. You can feel good about winning a bet and winning that extra little bit of money. I mean, think about whenever you get interest from your bank and you think, and it's like 59 cents. You can have a moment like that. You can be like, well, I'm just that little bit richer now.
All right. I'm assuming you're in the same part with me, right?
Yes, definitely. I'd go as far to say, I think even though he'll be breaking a 14-year tie since Christopher Plummer won for Beginners, where he's going to win without being in their Best Picture nominee, I'd go as far to say this is even more locked than supporting actress, and even supporting actress I think is very locked. So yeah, definitely Kieran Culkin.
All right, time for Best Actress in a Leading Role. A whirlwind of a betting season this has been for this category, because there was once upon a time where it was pretty, throw away the key type of scenario, and then there wasn't, which is crazy because what has changed is even more. But Cynthia Rilvia for Wicked, Carla Sofia Gascon for Amelia Perez, Mikey Madsen for Honora, Demi Moore for The Substance, and Fernanda Torres for I'm Still Here. There's a fun fact about this category right now. Demi Moore is a heavy favorite. Minus 240. It's not as heavy as some of the other categories, but Demi Moore is a minus 240 favorite in Vegas right now to win the Academy Award, which means if you're like me and are predicting Mikey Madsen to win for Nora, she's plus 185 right now. Plus 185, folks. So again, if
still a little bit of money to be made.
Yeah. So if you bet, let's just say hypothetically $10, you're going to win $28.50. So if you think Mikey Madsen's going to win, and I do, throw a little bit of money
on it now.
Bet on it now before they listen to this podcast and they change those odds, because you know what, they're going to change the odds based on this podcast. The only podcast in the world they're changing odds about. But for me, I'm still very much Honora is catching the right momentum at the right time. SAG doesn't matter. The award that was voted for already. The Academy is closed. The door is shut. This was one of those things where I felt like Demi was going to win the SAG because it felt like the right win. Benji broke that down really good in our SAG prediction show. It's like the actors are voting for actors here. And we're not saying there's not actors voting for actors in this, but it's a wide body of people voting for people. And to me, that's why you narrow this down. You have it locked down to me. For me, again, it peaked at the right time. I feel like some people might have went and rewatched it when it peaked during winning Best Picture, Best this, Best that. Give me Mikey Madsen for Nora.
This category is the hardest for me, and I am genuinely stressing myself out because I think it could go three ways. And yes, I'm including Fernando Torres because I don't think that's done for. So let me break it down one for one. Mikey Madison is in the most likely Best Picture winning film, which works very well in her favor. The last time a film won Best Picture had an actor or actress in Best Actor or Actress and lost was The Shape of Water, of which Sally Hawkins was never really going to win, and Frances McDormand swept the whole season. BAFTA bodes really, 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 really well with Best Actress. They are the kings and queens of predicting Best Actress. They predicted Frances McDormand for Nomadland, Olivia Colman for The Favourite last year when everyone had kind of changed the tide to Lily Gladstone after she won the SAG. Who won? Emma Stone, the BAFTA winner. So that's going in Mikey Madison's favour. Demi Moore really, 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 really strongly has the career narrative. Now, there are some years, like 2 years ago, where every single acting nominee had a career narrative that all worked in their favors, including Jamie Lee Curtis, which to this day I think is a ridiculous win. Not only that, though, in my opinion, I know some people really disagree with me, I do genuinely think she gives a great Oscar-worthy performance. So with that, and the fact that this actress that was known for popcorn movies, that hasn't had a great movie in the last time, the fact that she's back in this sort of way, in such a ballsy role, will make a lot of people excited, including Oscar voters, I think. So that's going in Demi Moore's favor. Plus, even without the really strong BAFTA precursor, she has won everywhere else except from BAFTA. And that doesn't necessarily say nothing. Fernando Torres, however, this is the only time you'll ever hear me use this argument, because I usually think vote splitting is a load of bollocks, but there's two things going in Fernando Torres' favor. One, not that this means much, because out of 10,000 voters, this is probably 300 people, but she'll probably get every vote off of every Brazilian voter, which is saying a lot, because the campaign for that movie from the Brazilian community alone has been insane and one of the most inspiring things I've ever seen. Not only that, though, but when you look at these anonymous ballots and you speak to Academy members, you can tell within the organization that the love for I'm Still Here and Fernando Torres is still very much there. And if we're predicting it to surprise and win an international feature, there's a very good chance that it's not going to stop there, because why would it then make sense for them just to award it there and then not expect a lot of people to vote for Fernando Torres and leading actress? Not only that, though, but with Mikey Madison and Demi Moore kind of hashing it out, say, for example, they're like potentially taking votes off of one another, and Fernando Torres then kind of use that as an opportunity to take the lead. She then may just win by the tens to maybe like 100 votes. So it's anybody's game. However, I'm purely going to go off of the fact that because it's the most likely to win Best Picture, even though I'm not predicting it. Well, no, even though I am predicting it, but I've got my doubts, I'm going to go with Mikey Madison for Honora, but it's really tough and subject to change. I might change my mind.
Don't change your mind. You'll be wrong. All right. Moving on to Best Actor in a Leading Role. Adrian Brody, The Brutalist, Timothy Chalamet, Complete Unknown, Coleman Domingo, Sing Sing, Ray Fiennes, Conclave, Sebastian Stan, The Apprentice. Let me explain something. Did SAG change my mind? No, it did not. I don't think it changed my mind at all. Am I still predicting Timothy Chalamet to win? Absolutely. Is there a reason why I'm predicting Timothy Chalamet to win? Absolutely, because he's going to win, and I want him to win. When it comes down to Oscar predictions, there's always going to be that one. And what I mean by that one, it's going to be the category that I'm going to predict somebody to win that more than likely won't win, but it's somebody that I want to win. And this is that category. So I don't think Timothée Chalamet is going to win, but I'm predicting Timothée Chalamet. Now, I'm not going to be here. I told you so. I told you Timothée Chalamet was going to win. You know what I mean? I told you. Someone tweeted out that 7,000 other people also predicted him to win. But to me, this is, again, one category every year where I want to predict something that I want to win. And this is that category. It also goes hand in hand with my best sound prediction as well, though. So give me Chalamet to win. Benji, I know this is Adrian Brody's Oscar.
So yeah, what you did was smart, because if you are predicting it in best sound, then it does make sense to then predict a surprise in best actor, just like what I've been saying. But I'm predicting Adrian Brody for The Brutalist. The SAG win said
Benji
something.
wants to be right, and that's the correct thing to do.
Yeah, I do want to be right.
I thought it was the correct thing to do.
Make no mistake of it.
Oh man,
I'm having fun, but I also want to be right. If I can do both, then that's like a win-win.
All right. Probably the two most interesting categories of the night. The two-man race, yes, men race. Best directing. Corley Forgay for The Substance. Jacques Zador for Emilia Perez. I just love that he's there. Makes everybody mad. James Mangold, A Complete Unknown. Brady Corbet for The Brutalist. Sean Baker for Nora. I've went back and forth on this. Does picture and directing split? That's the big question. Or does it not split? The only way that it splits, in my opinion, is Brady Corbet wins, right? You know what I mean? I think if Brady wins, it's a split because Brutalist is not winning Best Picture. I don't think Brutalist is winning Best Picture.
I think at this point, it's out of the question.
Yeah, exactly. So I think there's a likelihood that this splits. And I changed my prediction thinking about this after nothing. I went back and forth in my head. I think Brady Corbet is going to win.
It's funny because if I thought Honora was as strong as it is, it's kind of ironic. I'd maybe be more comfortable taking a bet on Brady Corbet because I'd still know Honora's winning Best Picture. But after Conclave won at SAG, it's changed how I think about everything. Because I think if Brady Corbet wins here for The Brutalist, it will show Honora's not that strong in the Academy. And at that point, I'd be waiting for Best Picture to be announced. I really think that's the case because...
I don't.
I do, because I just think that Honora's just... Even though I am... Spoiler alert, I am predicting Sean Baker for this category. I'll just put that out there now. I don't think it is as strong as people think. The safe thing to do, if you look at stats and what's happened previously, is just to predict Nora in its top 4 categories, and then you're likely to get 2 out of 4 or 3 out of 4 right, which is kind of what I'm doing, to be honest. I hate to kind of cheat and be boring, but if I'm looking at what's most likely to happen, I think it will be that. So I'm going with Sean Baker for Nora, but let me tell you now, if Brady Corbet wins directing for the Brutalist at the Oscars, and Conclave has won film editing and adapted screenplay, and especially if Mikey Madison has lost Best Actress at that point, watch out for a Conclave announcement come Best Picture.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you. And moving to Best Picture, obviously, to me, it's a two-man race. If for some reason you think are like me, like Brady Corbet is going to win Best Director, there's money to be had. He's plus 162, right? Plus 145, sorry, right now. Most of the time, you have a little bit more heavier favorites when it comes to this time of the Oscar season. That's why we are kind of blessed with where we're at in the position of where we're at. The question is if you follow suit with Benji, Conclave is plus 240 in the Best Picture race. Brutalist is actually plus 700. So they don't even believe it's going to win. But Best Picture, Wicked, Substance, Nickel Boys, I'm Still Here, Emilia Perez, Dune Part 2, Conclave, A Complete Unknown, The Brutalist, and Honora. To me, this is where I battled. I did, because I think that, to me, it's going to be a split. I think that it's going to be a split. And to me, I think, again, I went with original. Hang on. I wrote down my predictions so I remember. I went 3. This will be Honora's 4th win of the night, which I would make them obviously the leader in the clubhouse here. But give me, I'm gonna say Honora's gonna win Best Picture here. I'm pretty confident in this, and I think that I'm confident in it because it's going to be peppered in the right spots. I still think it can win Best Picture if Mikey Madsen loses, but
So do
I'm
I.
not, I also I don't think I think the split's happening. I'm feeling confident in the split. And then for me, the split it doesn't really mean anything to me because I think the split's Corbet and Honora. I don't think it's Corbet and Conclave. I don't know.
It just doesn't make sense for me for Honora to win Best Picture with winning
I think it
with
wins
it
editing. I think it wins editing, screenplay. I think editing and screenplay would be fine to still win picture.
I just can't see a scenario. If like a Real Pain upsets and wins original screenplay, which I'm
Well,
not
I mean,
predicting, but if it
I mean,
does,
there's
and then
avenues
Sean
where
Baker wins director, that just doesn't even make sense to me because
no,
Honora's more of a writing movie than it is a directing movie, and I'm
yeah,
really
we've said
surprised
that. I mean,
I'm really surprised we're at this point where Sean Baker isn't only a possibility, but it's the front runner for directing. And this is why there's so many questions going on in my head because it's so ironic because usually whenever a movie's up for Best Picture, it's usually locked in screenplay or directing. Now, it's likely to win in those categories, but it's not locked. There's possibilities for upsets. It's such a strange year like that because I'm just so not sure what the package will be for Best Picture this year, which in a way makes me want to steer to Conclave more and more because I'm almost certain it's going to win editing and adapted screenplay, and then those two plus a Best Picture win will be the exact same thing that Argo got 10 years ago. So it's tricky and subject to change, and I definitely would encourage people to keep an eye on my Twitter and my awards central at predictions to kind of see where I'm at come the night of the Oscars. I need time to think on it more. So for now, I'm gonna say Honora, but closer and closer day by day, I'm thinking about Conclave winning.
I'm not changing my predictions here because you know what? I am confident that I am going to go. I mean, it's 26, right? 26. 26 categories. Is it 26 categories?
20, I think it's like 2023.
23. I'm going 23 now. I don't care what anybody says. I'm perfect. I'm not going to miss a single category. So I don't. Benji might go 0 and 23. We never know, folks. We even match on some categories. How I'll go 23 and 0 and he'll go 0 and 23. It doesn't make any sense, but it's going to happen. So you guys figure that on your own. But yeah, make sure to follow along on Twitter with Benji. He does put out some great stuff throughout the week, some dissecting of the categories, and just be sure to tune in. We're gonna have something planned for Oscar night. We don't exactly know what it'll be yet, per se, but it's gonna be a lot of fun. We'll definitely be live post Oscars, no matter what, right here on the channel. So don't forget to miss that. Yeah, I don't really know. This has been a fun season. And like
It's
I
been
said,
a really fun season.
we're
I mean, I can't
ramping
lie
up.
to you. Some of the controversy has deflated me at points, but then with how crazy the season's been and the fact that not many categories at all are properly locked in, I'm super excited to see what happens on the night of the Oscars because I am expecting some crazy upsets. I really do think some upsets that we probably haven't even spoken about. They're just going to be so out of left field that it's just such a fun year like that. And I wish every year could be like that. And compared to last year where Oppenheimer swept the season, or a couple years ago when every single category was predicted the year of Coda, it's so fun to be back here where we just don't know what's going on.
If you don't know, then you don't know. To me, I know everything. I'm going 23 and 0, baby. Thank you guys so much for tuning into another episode of the Word Central podcast. Thank you, Benji, for joining me here. Like I said, we got some fun things planned post-Oscar season that you're not going to want to miss. We're getting deep, guys. We're going to get deep into the next season. We're going to have a lot of things throughout the year, as we shift into the new Oscar season, which is going to be right after this season, which is crazy to think about because we're already 3 months into the new year. So when films start rolling out that we think that could be Oscar contenders, we're going to break those down right here on the podcast as well. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Thank you, Benji. We'll be back next week to break down our thoughts of what happens at the 97th Academy Awards.